What's up, guys? My name is Riley. This is my buddy Wyatt, and welcome to Chimicomics. Today, um, we're just remembering the great Stan Lee and talking about what all he's done for the comic industry and for mankind in general. So, there's not really going to be a lot of structure to this. Before we did this, we went back and read a bunch of Marvel Comics number ones that he wrote back in the day, back in the early 60s. We'll talk about those a little bit, and also, obviously, his Marvel movie cameos, because those are funny. So,
Stank.
let's just talk about our favorite parts from what we read. So, we read the Amazing Fantasy 15 and Amazing Spider-Man number 1, obviously. Those are the two big ones. Spider-Man is his bread and butter. That's like the biggest thing that came out. We also read the Incredible Hulk number 1, Journey into Mystery.
Since it was on short notice, we did it on Comixology. We didn't have any hard issues.
Yeah. Journey into Mystery number 83, and Tales of Suspense. What number was that one? 39, First Appearance of Iron Man, as well as the X-Men number 1 and Fantastic Four number 1.
So there was a lot of origin stories,
Yeah.
most of which I already knew, even though I hadn't read them. Just because they've had such an impact, like even in today's movies, those origin stories are still relatively the same.
For the most part, they are. They hold up pretty well. Well, except
Yeah,
that one.
yeah, with
Why don't you lead with that one?
Okay, let's go into Thor's origin story.
Yeah.
So there's this guy, right? And he's just walking along. He decides to check out a cave. But this boulder like rolls in and blocks him off from escaping, so he's trapped. Inside the cave, he finds a stick. So he decides he's going to try and wedge the boulder, the huge like 10-ton boulder, with a stick. Because as Jack Sparrow always said, leverage. So he tries that, doesn't work. So he gets mad and hits the rock with the stick, and the stick turns into Mjolnir. And written on Mjolnir is, whoever is worthy shall become Thor. And he just goes, Thor! And he just turns into Thor. And he's like, I couldn't do this before, but now I'm Thor. And he just picks up the boulder and tosses it. At the same time, aliens have invaded the United States of America. Our military is ineffective. So who saves the day? Of course, it is Thor who saves the day.
The mighty Thor.
His lightning roars.
Oh.
So yeah, they need to get off the random Joe becomes superhero origin for Thor.
I've got nothing for you there. I mean, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, the aliens look like mutated pickles too.
Okay.
Yeah, they did.
Well, aside from that one, there's nothing really to say about Amazing Fantasy 15. If you've seen either of the Spider-Man movies, whether it's Spider-Man or the Amazing Spider-Man, they both go over that.
Yeah, Homecoming did not. It
Pretty
was
much the same. No, they didn't do that
Yeah.
one. I don't think they will either.
No, because he's already had
May
an
is so
origin.
young.
Yeah, his attractive aunt.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird.
Maybe if Pepper never showed up again, maybe that would be who Stark ended up with.
Oh. Then Amazing Spider-Man number 1. It's like
2 stories.
Yeah, it's 2 stories. One of them, he saves Jameson's son, the astronaut.
And the other one.
Like the missile or whatever it was missing a guidance system. He had to get it to the rocket in time, and he saved him. And then the other half is when he meets the Fantastic Four, and they like trap him in their base.
Got to study him.
The Baxter building, and he fights the Chameleon. Excuse me. I had some barbecue before I left at Appalachian.
I would have liked to be there.
Sorry. Yeah, he fights the chameleon. At one point, chameleon like makes his own Spider-Man suit, I think. He's wearing one.
He pretends to be
It's a
Spider-Man.
goofy story. The thing about Stan Lee's stories when he was first writing is like they were so descriptive. Like you knew exactly what was going on. You didn't even have to see it to know what was going on because of their dialogue. They're like, "Oh, let me get this whimsical thing over here."
Yeah. Let me just use the power of my magical transistors.
Oh, you can't hit me if I do a flip over you and then rotate to the side and punch you in the face. It's just like that. But there's still good stories. There's a lot of good creativity in the creation of the characters, their villains, and like just the stories in general.
In general, Magneto was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A guy who can just wreak havoc.
From across the world, he was just knocking missiles out of the sky and causing machine guns to become helicopters.
That was way scarier than they made it out to be.
Just imagine you're just a soldier on base, machine gun nest gets up and starts and then a tank cranks to life and starts driving around and you're just like, what the heck is going on?
Spinning around in a circle.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
The tank isn't shooting anything, it's just...
And Professor X, man, he was like, alright, I want you to do this ridiculous maneuver right here. Spin around on this bar.
He has Beast balance, with
a
his
finger.
feet. No, his feet.
Well,
We're on this
that,
wire.
But then he's riding this bar down to the ground on one finger. I'm like, what?
Spin. The reason he gives it, spin. You have to make yourself as difficult a target as possible.
Yeah, I understand that.
But I mean, are you ever going to have a bar like that in a combat situation?
Why do you have to let yourself down with a finger?
Grace.
Oh, also in that issue, Beast is like just a regular white dude. He's not like the blue furry guy that you know.
He's just a big dude.
I don't remember when they introduced that. But I mean, like, they're not perfect. Like some things they eventually changed.
Yeah, like I don't remember Angel and Iceman being in like the regular.
They're not prominent now.
Yeah,
like in the movies or anything. You haven't seen them hardly.
Even though Iceman.
You do see them in First Class though. They're in that one. I think Iceman's in it. I know Iceman's in other movies too. But yeah, Angel didn't come around to like First Class, I think, or something.
It's almost so much to do with wings can do.
Yeah. He was cool in what was it, Apocalypse? Did you see that one?
Mm-hmm.
Like the terrible movie that no one liked?
Yeah.
He was cool in that one. Like you got the what was he called? Archangel. That's what they called him when he got the metal wings. You don't remember when Apocalypse gave him the metal wings? That was awesome. That was one of my favorite parts. And then you get like, what was her name? The purple ninja girl.
Purple ninja girl.
Yeah.
No. Oh, now I remember.
Psylocke.
Yeah.
So you get Psylocke.
Psionic blade.
Yeah. Yeah. It was cool.
Live by the psionic blade.
She was perfect too. Like she looked just like her. It was awesome. But yeah, not many people like that movie.
Did you like it?
I thought it was all right. It wasn't the best, but like, you know.
Okay, give it to them in the comments, guys.
I don't care.
We don't get enough views anyway.
I love too many movies that people hate to care, because I already know that.
As long as if we're starting that, I mean, we both agree The Last Jedi was pretty bad.
That's true.
Yes.
I hate that movie.
Don't add us.
Don't add me.
Yeah, don't add me, bro.
Oh. And like, what's another movie? I haven't seen the new Fantastic Four. I haven't seen that.
Well, considering
Did you watch that?
Considering the second one's villain was called the Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
I've seen the first. I've seen him. Yeah.
That was cool though.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of ridiculous.
The you don't, dude.
I know. But
Silver Surfer's a legit character. He is. No, for real. He's the Herald of Galactus.
Cowabunga, dude! Let's do
you
some
get all
evil!
that because it was the age of surfing when he was created. They made him a surfer dude, but he doesn't act like him at all. He doesn't act like that.
I just think it's ridiculous. The villain is a surfer, dude.
He's cool though. He's really cool.
Let me hit this wave and cause mass genocide.
I think you need to watch it again. I don't think you remember enough. And then mind you, we have Captain America as the Human Torch.
Yeah, you're right.
I love that they just didn't care and casted him anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the comics we read. You also read Iron Man, right?
I did.
All right.
And the origin story was pretty much the same as the movie, except it was Vietnamese Viet Cong instead of Islamic terrorists. And by Wong Chu, I believe. Big Wong Chu. He was like a wrestling dude. And he kidnaps Anthony Stark. It's Anthony, not Tony.
Yeah.
This.
Yeah.
And he's there showing the power of his magical transistors. Like Riley said, it's very descriptive.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used them apparently to...
They gotta let you know.
Yeah. The army used them apparently to tote around mortars, but he's gonna use them to make an Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so he gets wounded. Anthony does, and they capture him, and there's a piece of shrapnel in it, and it's gonna hit his heart and kill him in like a week. They also bring in this Chinese professor who Anthony knows. Like, he read his books in college. Like, they're colleagues, pretty much. And he helps him to build something that'll keep him alive. So they make the Iron Man suit, and he looks like a Cyberman if you watch Doctor Who.
The Iron Giant.
Yeah, and the the professor ends up sacrificing himself because he's like getting into the suit and it's getting prepared, but the leader of the Viet Cong is showing up and he's like, I have to stop him. So he runs out and pretty much sacrifices. He's like, death to you, and he gets shot. And Iron Man gets out and he keeps saying, I swear it. Iron Man swears it, to enact justice and all. So he defeats the Viet Cong. And he puts on a coat and just walks off into the jungle. Don't know how he got out of that, but that's Iron Man. First
Yeah. And like,
he also kind of had Magneto's powers. He didn't have any like ray guns or weapons in the suit yet. He was like using those transistors to like use magnetic force.
even though we read just number ones, Stan Lee's mantra was always, make this comic like it's someone's first comic. So, like, every comic would have, you know, everybody's name. Like, they would call each other by name several times. And, like, you know, the title page would tell you, like, oh, he regained his powers in a mysterious way, you know, like, it tells you. And each issue would be, like, its own story. It'd be, you know, it begins and ends, and you go to the next one. You know, they're all self-contained, I guess. So yeah, when you read a Stan Lee comic, pretty much they're all gonna be like these first issues. Not in every aspect, like all the drama and the regular people that they interact with when they're not a hero, that goes on. But like when they're fighting villains, that doesn't carry over much.
You said drama, and that reminded me of the old Spider-Man cartoon where he overreacts, and he's like chasing after that one guy and yelling his name.
I'll get you,
I'll
Shocker!
get you, Shocker!
I'll chase you to the ends of the earth! Gosh, man. I really wouldn't watch that again.
Yeah.
That's a funny scene.
That's a meme right there. Bro.
It is a meme. It's definitely a meme. What we got left?
Hulk.
So you didn't get to read Hulk, but I did.
And
he read Thor and Iron Man that I didn't get to read. So I'm not trying to make you look bad. Anyway, Hulk was actually a pretty good issue. So like it's Bruce Banner and he's dealing with the gamma radiation. You know, he's like, so in this story he's like the only person that knows the stuff that he's doing. Like he keeps everything well guarded, close to the chest. I think he says it's all locked in his room or something, and nobody can see it. And they're like, "You have to tell us what's going on so we can help. You could have miscalculated. We could all die." And he's like, "Oh, I don't miscalculate." He's really gawky.
Oh, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Hulk smash!
Yeah, for real. That actually had nothing to do with that though.
Yeah.
So they're about to test the bomb. It's called a G bomb, like gamma bomb. And they're in the middle of the desert. It's all secluded. And General Ross is there with Betty, his daughter. And he's all, "What are you doing with all these precautions? If it was up to me, this thing would have been done long ago." It's just really dumb.
Safety measures.
But they're just about to set off the bomb, and Banner's like, "Oh my gosh, what's that teenager doing out there?" There's this random teen just driving out into the test zone, like just chilling in his car, and then he's like, "I've got to go save this kid." And he runs out there, and he tells his assistant Igor, like, "What the heck? Why do you have an assistant named Igor in the '60s?
Oh my.
He's Russian." Hello. Anyway.
He's a spy.
No.
No.
So Banner runs out there to save this kid, and he's like, "Come with me, we gotta go, there's no time." And he's like, "What are you doing? I just bet my friends that I would come out here into this restricted area past the guards." And it was just stupid, just this random kid trying to be all cool. But
Think how cool though he could be. "Yo guys, I just walked away from an atomic explosion." Whoa. I'm G.
But literally.
G for gamma, yeah, boy. We pun the same.
Banner throws him into this protective trench. I don't know how a trench protects you from gamma radiation.
Listen,
but apparently it
when
can.
they were testing those bombs, they had troops in those trenches, and when the bombs dropped, they told them to get out and run towards it, simulating an attack. Because when you drop a nuke, you're supposed to send the men in the same time. Because, I mean, that's tactically sound. So many people have cancer now today because of our government's lack of competence.
And then the school videos of the kids duck and
cover. That'll protect you.
Get under your school desk.
If a nuke goes off, you'll be okay.
There's this kid riding a bike down the street, and he dives into a ditch.
Yeah. Duck and cover. We watched that in
like,
chemistry when we did nuclear chemistry.
Yeah.
Williamson, he's just like...
Yeah. I remember watching that.
Yeah. That was a fun video.
But anyway, he saves the kid, but he doesn't have time to dive into the trench himself. So he's blasted with all this gamma radiation. And then that kid's name is Rick Jones, and apparently he's the Hulk's sidekick. He's just a regular kid.
What does he do? Does he calm the Hulk down?
I don't know. He like I guess he just gets him a grilled cheese after he's hungry from his fighting.
Hulk, hungry!
That's really about the kind of thing he does.
Here you go, Hulk. He's like his coach, like his wrestling or boxing coach. "You got him on the ropes, champ. Here, grilled cheese."
Grilled cheese. There you go.
It's like Goku. He eats in the middle of a fight.
In this issue, Hulk is gray.
Oh yeah, I remember in the first issue he was gray.
Yeah, I don't know when he started to be green. I'm pretty sure it was a little bit later though.
Yeah.
I think they went gray for a while, but he looks like Frankenstein, like for real. He looks just like him. But in this, the Hulk, he turns into the Hulk not when he's angry, but when night falls.
Well, he's gray, so maybe it's when he's sad, when he's feeling gray.
No, it's when night falls.
Okay.
Good try though.
Depressed Hulk. Hulk moderately depressed.
Dude. But like, yeah, he just goes crazy at nighttime, and like I remember these soldiers were driving toward him in a little Jeep, the small ones.
Yeah, the
that have no
Willys.
top.
Yeah.
And they're like, "What is that?" "Well, we're gonna hit him if he doesn't stop running towards us."
Sorry,
But
everyone.
they run into him, and the Jeep just flies into pieces. It's really funny to look at. Hulk's just like.
So like in the old '60s Spider-Man, when the Rhino runs at that train.
Yeah. The guy Igor was found out to be a spy.
Who knew?
Because like he told his assistant to delay the launch, right? But he didn't. He's like, "Oh, I will kill Bruce Banner." I'm like, dude.
What does that
He just
accomplish?
didn't share information with you. Why you gotta kill the man?
Yeah, what does that accomplish?
Yeah, but like, I guess if he's a spy, whatever. But he's in jail, and then he's like, oh, but I have this special microchip on my thumbnail. I will send the signal.
Did
to
they
my
even have
comrades.
thumbnails back then? Are you sure it wasn't a floppy disk or something?
No, a literal thumbnail.
Are you kidding me?
No. Not like a thumb drive. They didn't have USB.
I didn't think so. That's why I was asking. You said, I was like,
Oh
thumb drive.
gosh.
I was like, they didn't have
Anyway,
those back then.
it's a little microchip on his thumbnail. Literal thumbnail. Like this thing.
I know what a thumbnail is now.
Now you do.
We just took a picture of one.
He's like, I will send a signal to my comrades telling them that the Hulk is on the loose.
It's a Russian.
I'm like, how do you convey that in a microchip?
That's probably smaller than something they could
It comes
produce at
out
the
as a
time.
telegram. That's what I'm saying.
What?
Like, or like a Morse code thing.
It's like that Monty Python skit where
Yeah.
they're about to execute him. Telegram from one of our agents. It says the Hulk is on the loose. What does that mean? Who's the Hulk?
This guy called the Gargoyle. Yeah, it's really terrible. It's just this guy who's a scientist and he has a really big head. And everybody's deathly afraid of him. They don't even want to give him, like, news of the Hulk because they're afraid that he'll kill them or something. I don't know. So he flies over on a rocket, of course. He goes, get me a submarine with rockets immediately. So he rides the submarine, and then they launch him out in a rocket. And he rides it there, and then parachutes out of the rocket. It's the most crazy way to get to America I've ever seen.
Not a jet, submarine. with rockets.
Gosh, it's ridiculous. But he fights him. He
Well,
shows up
it's
with this
so
pistol, but it doesn't shoot bullets or like trank darts like you would think. It shoots these pellets that make you lose your will.
What?
So when he shoots you, you're like, okay, and you just listen to everything he tells you. It's really crazy. It's nuts. Anyway, long story short, Hulk finally beats him, and you know, yeah, that's
That's
pretty
that.
much.
What's up?
Actually, he captured the Hulk, brought him back to their base, and then, you know, night turned to day, he turned to Bruce Banner, and he's like, you mean you're the Hulk? Duh.
Who knew?
He's like, but why would you do that to yourself? Why would you make yourself so ugly? He said, I would give anything to be human again.
Hashtag plot of Deadpool.
It is so melodramatic and like soap opera-y. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. Banner's like, well, I can figure out a way to turn you human, but you might not have the same mind that you had before.
Oh,
You might not be a brilliant scientist anymore.
Considering he thinks getting to America in a submarine with
Yeah.
rockets is a good idea, I think that might help him.
All right, but he does the experiment and turns him into a man. Like, he's still bald, but he doesn't have a huge head anymore. And he's not a brilliant scientist anymore. But he's
Just
like,
average Joe.
but when he told him that, he was like, I don't care. I'll do it even if I die. As long as I die a man. It's just ridiculous. And then when he helps them onto a rocket after they've done this and sets the coordinates for America. And then as they're leaving, they're launched off to America. Hulk and Rick Jones. Well, not Hulk. Bruce Banner. You know what I mean. Then the Gargoyle is there holding an explosive device at their base, and they charge at him and they're like, where's the Gargoyle? And he's like, I used to be the Gargoyle. Bam! It just blows it up. It is time for me to die a man. It's like, I have no purpose anymore. I'm not a scientist. I was like, Dang, dude. You
That's
know?
that's like the ramifications you get when you make the wrong choice in an RPG. Like, you didn't kill Branagh Thanopoulos in the first Mass Effect, so she suicide bombs an Asari military base.
That issue is divided into like 4 parts, like chapters, and you just never know what's gonna happen in the next part.
What if you turn the page and it turns out to be a Riddler story?
Yeah. That's a reference to our Batman Hush episode.
Which you can watch at this annotation if you know how to do that.
I don't know how to do that.
You will have to look it up.
So that's the Hulk story. It's pretty crazy and wacky. But it was entertaining, I'll say that. You should actually just go back and read it yourself.
I might.
Then Fantastic Four. You got to read that one too, didn't you?
I did.
Okay.
It's pretty much the same as the newer movie. Like, they go to space and they get bombarded with cosmic rays, and they're like, "Look what you did to me, Reed." That's the thing, and he tries to beat Reed, but like they're all discovering their powers, and Reed's just like, "Whoop, whoop, 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 can't touch me." And he's like, "Don't, guys, do you know what this means? Yeah, we have to use these powers to help mankind."
What I like about this issue is that it starts out in a different place and then flashbacks to when they get their powers. I like that because it's just a change of the storytelling. None of the issues we read are like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that shows how flexible Stan Lee can be. You know, he's not just a one-trick pony. He can do other things. Correct me if I'm wrong, weren't all of these drawn by Jack Kirby except Spider-Man? I remember them all being drawn by Jack Kirby. And
Yes,
obviously
Steve-
Ditko
Yeah,
did
Ditko.
Spider-Man. Jack Kirby was the man, dude. He was the man. But Stan was the man also.
That's the purpose of this video.
Thanks, Wyatt.
You want to get on?
Thanks for reminding me.
Go with his cameos now, since we've covered all the books.
Yeah, I mean, Fantastic Four is pretty much what you saw in the movie.
Yeah.
Hopefully you didn't see that terrible one the first time. But the first 2 movies were quite good. When's the last time you actually saw them?
Oh, it's
It's
first
been a
one I
while.
saw on FFX.
Yeah.
Like, like it comes on every now and again.
Mhm.
That was back when I used to watch TV because I didn't have internet at home. Now I do have internet, so I don't watch TV.
I see.
Yeah, that's something you didn't know about me. Now you know. And knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe.
Yeah, we can talk about cameos. What's like the funniest cameo to you?
Funny?
Yeah.
Oh, it's gotta go to. I got a package for Tony Stank.
Tony Stank.
Yeah, this is Mr. Stank. This is him. Captain America Civil War. It happens at the end. So, like, I was waiting for it the whole movie. I was
Yeah.
like, where's Stan Lee? And he comes in at the end. That one's good. Also, the one in Infinity War, where he's the bus driver. And
What's the matter with you kids?
Yeah.
Haven't you ever seen a spaceship?
yeah, the alien,
bus driver.
alien invasion. What's the matter with you kids? I mean, with the world they're living in.
I like the one, I think it was at the end of Guardians 2 when he's a watcher.
Yeah. And he's in the spacesuit, and he's like, "Where are you going?" he's recounting all his other cameos too.
And I read a thing, I read a thing where they're like, well, that explains all of his past cameos and how he's able to be all these different people. I'm like, wow, that makes a lot of sense.
And then there was the one where it was the camera was like first person of Tony, like it was the first Iron Man, and he's walking into a party. He's like, "Doing good, Hef."
Oh,
and he
yeah,
pats
yeah.
him on the back and turns out it's Stan Lee dressed as Hugh Hefner.
Yeah, that was cool. Iron Man 1 was a great movie.
It was.
That was a great one to start with.
Yep. Stomping the crap out of terrorists.
I like the one when it was actually a trailer, I think, for the
Yeah,
Deadpool movie.
Deadpool 2. Hey,
Yeah.
nice suit. Zip it, Stan Lee. I can quote pretty much anything I see.
I'm trying to think if he was in the X-Men movies, or all of them.
I just watched a video that was every Stan Lee cameo. Pretty sure.
He was.
Pretty
Do you remember, like, what he was in the first X-Men movie? That
It
would
was.
have been, like...
There was several that were very like just splitting images like of him. Like he
Oh,
didn't have
yeah.
any lines or anything. That may have been.
Like, him and the first Spider-Man movie was just him running away from the building crumbling.
Yeah, well, he did have one line though. He said, "Watch out!" and he grabbed a woman and kept her
Yeah.
from getting crushed.
Yeah. That was cool.
And-
So, ironically, the best Stan Lee cameo, in my opinion, and the one that means the most by far, comes from Spider-Man 3. Definitely not a popular movie by most people. I'm not even going to get into the fact that I enjoyed it, but it was just such a powerful scene. You've got Spider-Man standing there on the street, and he's looking across the street, and like it's like one of those banners going across the digital banners that you see on breaking news and stuff.
Daughter
It's like
of
that.
police chief rescued.
It's Spider-Man to receive key of the city, and then Stan Lee looks at him and he goes, "You know, I guess one person can make a difference." I was just like, wow, Stan Lee. That made my childhood. Just gonna let you know, I like superheroes, period, because of the first Spider-Man movie. That was my introduction.
And that is why you have thousands and thousands of comic books.
I love comics.
He does. That's why he made a channel dedicated to them.
But dude, like I can quote you like the entire first Spider-Man movie. Most people like the second one better, but I like the first one better.
Can you pay me in advance? Oh wait, you're serious? Isn't there a deleted scene where Jameson has the shrine?
In the second one?
Yeah.
No, he's
He's
Do you
dressed
remember
as
when
Spider-Man. Yeah.
Do you remember when he gets the suit because he
Yeah.
threw it away?
Yeah.
And he gets it out of the garbage from that garbage man, and he hangs it up on the wall. Well, in the deleted scene, he's in his office wearing this thing and smoking a cigar at the same time. And all the other workers are like, "What is he doing?" And he's like, I'm so glad they didn't make the final cut. That would have ruined the movie.
That would have been hilarious.
No. That would have ruined J. Jonah Jameson for me completely. I would have had no respect for that man at all. You don't understand. Like JJ is like ridiculously like hateful. He hates Spider-Man no matter how much good he does. And then you got him prancing around in his suit. No. I'm out. I would have been out.
This channel would not have happened if that had made the final cut of the movie. He would have never run into superheroes again. Not even Batman, and you love Batman.
Oh my gosh. I do love Batman. Batman's cool.
I am the Knight.
Dark Knight was probably my favorite movie ever.
Yeah, I can't knock you there. I mean,
Yeah.
Heath Ledger is Joker.
He did so good that
He
killed
killed
him.
himself. Yeah.
Anyway, cameos. There was one, I think, in Thor 3 when he's like getting ready to cut Thor's hair.
Yeah, well, Thor Ragnarok. He's like, now you're gonna have to stand still. I'm not as steady as I used to be.
Yeah.
Kind sir, please do not cut my hair. He did a pretty good job, actually.
So, Tom McFarlane, do you remember
Yes.
us talking about him, the artist? There was like some kind of Instagram video or something that they took of him sitting in a chair. There's a guy holding him down, and Stan Lee's reenacting that whole scene. He's like, "Well, my hands aren't as steady as they used to be," and he's like, "No." And he's like, "Ah." It was funny.
The last video Stan Lee ever did was he's like, I know all of you have been worried about my left hand, but I've gotten over it. But now it's my right hand, and he has a Hulk fist over the right hand. But I think I'll learn to live with it.
He was just such a joyful person.
Was.
And he is the reason I think that we even have comic books today. Like, he didn't create them. He didn't, like...
But he was the one who pushed the ones that we keep to today, like X-Men, Fantastic
Well, he
Four.
created them.
Yeah.
And, like, without Marvel Comics, you don't really have a good DC Comics, in my opinion. They both push each other to work hard and make good stories that sell. Comics were not going through a great time when he came along and was writing them. The 40s were when the comics were first coming out, and then in the 50s it was more like westerns and
sci-fi.
Betty and Veronica. It just the
Captain
superheroes
Rogers.
were not selling much, and Stan Lee revived that in the 60s.
And he cranked out so many characters.
Yeah.
Just Amazing Fantasy.
Oh yeah, he had ideas
new characters
like
every
nobody's
issue.
business. It was crazy. They just kept putting them out, and like Amazing Fantasy was a failing comic, and
Till Spider-Man.
and he said, well, we're gonna cancel it anyway. Let's just throw Spider-Man in and see how he does. You know, if it doesn't work out, then we'll cancel it anyway. And it did work out, and so like, you know, it's hard to believe that such a successful character was introduced in a failing comic. Like, I saw this video of when he was accepting an award or something, and he was up on stage with what's his name, Tobey Maguire, the guy who plays Spider-Man, and he's like, this guy right here, and Sam Raimi, they made Spider-Man. He said, and you don't know how hard it was for me to give up that part. I wanted to be Spider-Man. But this guy, he made Spider-Man. I was like, wow, that was cool. You could just see how humbled Tobey Maguire was by that.
Pizza time.
Pizza time. You're late. I ain't paying for those. Man. And he would always push for comics to be enjoyed by the mainstream audience. Like, he would make comics relatable. That's the thing that separated Marvel from DC, really, was that these characters would go home and have to deal with everyday pressures and hold a job, you know? Like, with DC, you've got, I mean, Clark Kent holds a job, but he's like a reporter, and he's able to report on himself.
Yeah.
And Batman is a billionaire, you know? Wonder Woman is an Amazon. They're great characters, but they're just like way over the top. And what Marvel was
in the new DC, maybe isn't Wonder Woman like an art curator or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Something like that, or like a I think she
works at the Louvre.
She might buy art for rich people or something.
Or she's an artifact hunter.
Yeah, something like that.
Lara Croft.
But what sets Marvel apart is that they're everyday people.
Yeah, one of Spider-Man's great luxuries was he had a skylight in his apartment that he could enter from. And he made it known every time he did it. I'll just enter through the skylight.
They're just handy dandy skylight. But like, you got, I mean, Tony Stark obviously is a millionaire. But
yeah, he just goes out and says, I am Iron Man.
Spider-Man, that was the biggest one. He's a teenage kid. He's in high school, and he's out here fighting crime, playing around with the Fantastic Four, who are scientists. You know.
Hey, I have homework.
And a lot of these characters were created by accident. Like, Spider-Man got bit by a spider. Hulk was blasted with gamma rays. Iron Man only created his suit out of a need.
Like, they didn't want to be heroes.
Yeah, it was something that was thrust upon them.
Yeah, but they took the mantle anyway.
Mm-hmm. They just felt to me more natural.
And it pushes that line that we all know: with great power comes great responsibility. Don't laugh at me. This is coming from within.
Do you want to know the original line from the comic?
What is the original line?
With great power, there must also come great responsibility.
Okay, there's a couple more.
You're
words
welcome.
in there. There's a couple more words.
That was the King James version for you.
I read out of the NIV.
Uh,
Well, you've ruined my spiel.
I'm sorry. Continue. My bad.
Well, to me, that line that we all know and love,
Mhm.
with great power comes great responsibility. You have people that shun that responsibility, use their power for their own personal gain. The villains, the people that prey on the innocent. But every once in a while, you have one that gets these powers, and they know that they have the responsibility to do what is right for justice. And that's just something that really speaks to me from comics. Sorry, I'm making you cry with my emotional.
I'm really not.
Yes, you are.
I'm just sniffling from the cold game I was at.
You know it. I'm making you emotional. I'm sure all our viewers are crying as well.
Dude, I was so sad when I heard the news. Like, I knew they had pulled him from cons.
Like he said, he was done with Comic-Con.
Yeah, but he was still like doing home signings. Like you could still mail stuff into him to get
And
signed.
sign it.
So that was pretty cool. But I mean, he was starting to like make a recovery, you know. But I mean, the man was 95. He lived a really long and good life.
1922 to 1918. He lived as long as my great grandpa did. Passed away over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird to think my family member was as old as Stan Lee.
Yeah. Hmm.
So this video was really just remember Stan Lee for all he did, for the characters that he created, for really pushing superheroes and comics to a whole new level that they are today.
Yeah.
Because without him, that would have never really happened. So that's really just been the point of this video. I think we're done.
I'm really glad that they've always thrown him into the movies, even though it's just a joke or he's playing a FedEx man or something dumb. But
or a strip club DJ.
Like them doing that, it makes people want to
know who
he is and stuff about him, and they know that's Stan Lee. Like everybody knows who he is.
I have to.
He's a cultural icon.
He's
like,
he did a cameo for Teen Titans Go to the Movies too.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
in that.
he was.
They
this
like
is a DC
they recorded
movie.
him. Their recording equipment didn't work, and they had to record him with an iPhone. I'm not even kidding. His voice, they recorded that with an iPhone.
Modern Family. This episode shot entirely on iPhone.
Yeah. But like him being in all the movies and being so popular and well known across culture, it's like these movies make people want to get into comics, and they make comics like a mainstream thing, but actually putting a creator out there and making people know about him,
because that doesn't happen in DC movies.
No, not at all. Nothing happens in DC movies worth talking about. They really need to get it together.
Martha, why did you say that there?
Gosh, please don't go into that. But like it, I don't know how to explain it. It just makes them like
more personable.
Yeah, like these are real people, but they're like kind of larger than life, you know. Like this is a man who lived for 95 years. He wrote the comic for this you're reading in like 1963, you know.
His first cameo was in the Spider-Man cartoon, and in it, like he got webbed around the city by Spider-Man because he's like, I always wanted to do this.
He was just such a joyful guy.
He was,
and I really appreciate his enthusiasm and the hope that people will embrace creativity and fantasy. Really.
That's all we have to say about that.
But yeah, that's it. I would love to hear your guys' favorite memories about Stan Lee, or like a work that he did that is your favorite. Anything you want to say about Stan Lee?
Just put it to the comments.
Just put it in the comments. I really like to hear from you guys what your favorites are. So we'll see you next time.